Well, hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and it's time for another World War II strategy game, this time Panzer Corps 2. Well, today's episode is sponsored by the makers, or rather the ones making it possible, Slytherin. So thanks to them for sponsoring, and you can check out more Panzer Corps down below in the description. This game's also on sale as of today, so there's lots of DLCs in the main game to get. As it's been around for a while, there seems to be quite a bit of juicy content and a more focus on the Germans both in the early days of the war during the Blitzkrieg and also towards the end during utter defeat. Now, this game also features some scenarios for the British and the Soviets, and with more content on the way, it's quite possible that we could see every front and possible fictitious fronts in the future. In fact, I read a little bit about this game where it's possible to actually invade the United States if you play a map big enough, and this game also has mods and custom scenarios too, so it focuses heavily on the realistic historical aspect of World War II, but gives you lots of options for customization and also modding, which is quite staggering and very exciting. Now again, this is why I love Slytherin. They're promoting a lot of great turn-based strategy games, real-time strategy games. You know, for example, Headquarters World War II coming soon, and also Broken Arrow. And there is just so many games that these guys have. They're really starting to become the kings of like any sort of strategy game, particularly around World War II or modern times. And of course, some medieval games too. But yeah, this is really definitely a publisher that works with a lot of great developers that are making a lot of great and interesting games that are quite robust. So proud to be with them. And let's go ahead and take a look at a lot of the content in this game. First of all, it's multiplayer, and as I had mentioned before, there are mods. Now, I believe the mods are also playable in multiplayer. There's a robust tutorial that covers a lot of the aspects of the game and the campaign as well, and scenarios that are both large and small in scale. The scenarios focusing more on a particular battle of World War II, and campaigns going all across the entirety of the history of World War II from at least from 39 to 43, but some operations that start beforehand. We, of course, have the invasion of Poland in 1939, Barbarossa in 41, North Africa in 43, Kursk and Italy also in the same year, and then some operations that include Spain, taking place before the Second World War in 1936 and ending in 1939. Some campaigns that, of course, go over the course of several battles, so it's not necessarily just one, but several operations, or rather several like gameplay elements, or what would you call them, missions, I suppose, that take place in a particular theater. We, of course, have 39 pushing eastwards, 40 up into Norway, and then, of course, 41 heading south around just east of Italy to probably do a few things on the border. I guess it's all explained here with the, I guess this is for the non-aggression pact with the Balkans, and they're going to try to deny the British a chance to basically ally with them, that kind of thing. So at least there's a light briefing to everything, and it's quite historical that way. Well, one thing that I wanted to see was an interesting scenario based on Crete. Yeah, Operation Mercury, the German invasion of Greece, where they were trying to deny the British the opportunity to launch aircraft into Romania, I believe, to cut them off from oil. So the Germans are going in to deny the enemy, their enemy, the operation of basically like flying off planes. So we're going to try to sink the carrier, in other words. But there are many other operations that are historical. Fall Weiss, End of the Bulge, and oh, actually, I think there is, yeah, there's the Soviet mission here too, heading westward into Hungary, I believe. But then there's also fictional scenarios like Defender of the Reich. Now, this is interesting because you're tasked with defending Berlin, which is historical, but you're trying to do it against endless waves of Soviet troops. So you have several defensive lines outside the city, and then the city itself with things like artillery, tanks, anti-tank, and lots of infantry and bunker and hard points to try to defend Berlin against utter defeat, or at least Germany, I guess, their last stand. So lots of bunkers, defensive lines, and an opportunity to try to hold to the last, literally the last man. Fjord War 2 going up, looks to be, yeah, obviously in the fjords of Norway, and then Meridian 2 taking place with the British forces. But many scenarios that you can create yourself, many in the Steam Workshop, and many things to see, as well as, of course, the cool thing of the campaigns having all the experience from aircraft and tanks and artillery carrying over to the next battle. So if you're keeping a lot of your infantry alive and they're becoming veterans and they're working alongside a veteran tank crew that eventually gets to command a Tiger, well, then you got yourself one hell of a roadblock for Allied forces. But a beautiful intro screenshot here of Normandy with Allied troops and tanks and whatnot coming ashore and aircraft trying to support them. Certainly gives a good picture. Well, today we're going to take a look at that scenario I mentioned of Crete, and let's go ahead and get started. But I also wanted to make a mention of all the dynamic advanced options here, everything from like Iron Man mode to turning on and off the fog of war and having to deal with supply and weather. So you can definitely make it as easy or challenging or turn on and off different parameters if you'd like to. So without further ado, the Battle of Crete. Let's go. All right, Operation Mercury begins. So it is late 1940, actually early 1941, but the war is in full effect. It's in full swing as the invasion begins. The Germans up here having a lot of aircraft that will transport their troops across the sea to several targets here. I think this kind of island here is just to give you a little bit of a perspective of the Germans in their territories. It just kind of makes it so it's a little closer for visual effect, but obviously there's no islands that exist like this. We have access to medium bombers and also aircraft that are troop transports that should be able to drop the Germans and their infantry on several targets, which are including airfields, cities, and ports that are important to deny the enemy of supply reinforcement and also to secure it for our troops. So, well, the odds are kind of against us here, but we should be able to do it with mobility. So good luck. Not that we'll need it. Cool. Let's end the briefing and go into the deployment phase. Now, yeah, this is a turn-based tactical strategy game where, of course, when we zoom out, I love this. We can actually see a tactical map showing where defenses are, roadways, railways, waterways, and thick forests, and also hazards or impassable areas such as large mountains. Greece and other areas around that area have quite a lot of that. So infantry here is going to be very effective. So we have three fronts, basically left, right, and center, and they've all got the medium bombers. In fact, if we look here on our dossier, we have strategic bombers like the DO-172, the HE-111, and the JU-88. So three different types of bombers here that can deliver the pain. Lots of different Fallschirmjägers here too, which are in JU, I think these are JU-87s? No, maybe. I guess I'll have to see. But anyway, 26 Fallschirmjäger groups here ready to go ashore by landing just behind enemy positions. Now, obviously the British are going to, as well as the Greeks, are going to have a lot of forces here, anti-aircraft guns and infantry and machine guns that are going to try to shoot us down. They're kind of ready for more of a naval invasion or landing, especially here at these ports, but we're going to go around them, and we have 8 points to capture. So anything in green is I guess, a major strategic position. We need to push through and capture some of these areas on our way to other objectives. So some of them we can bypass completely. Others might be a good idea to capture in succession, such as going from the two objectives here down this highway to the final objective there on this far left side. And possibly some of these units can work together to capture some of these areas. So the Germans have quite a bit of forces here to capture quite a few objectives. So it is possible that we could split these up and do whatever we wanted. We don't really necessarily have to follow any course of action. We can just kind of do whatever we want here, especially during the deployment phase. Now, there's not really much to deploy here. Our troops are already loaded up into the planes, and as you can see, they're nicely detailed too. At least it shows pretty nice accuracy to how the equipment looked, including the bombers, so not bad there for sure. Let's see, we've got pretty much all Fallschirmjägers. I don't see any sort of mixed infantry type of an AT unit or something that's outlandish. So, all right, let's go ahead and deploy then. It'll just be the end of our deployment phase. And now we can go ahead and start the operation. Turn 1 of 40. Again, this is something we can turn off too. So if we wanted to make it easier or harder on ourselves, we can adjust that. Let's go ahead and start on the far left side and start with some medium bombing. Go ahead and get the, what is this, HE-111H2 ready to go. So we can start trying to do some heavy bombing around this area by, I think we can possibly circle and just kind of continue the bombing runs by going back and forth and basically hitting targets that we want to. City's going to be well defended. And there's probably going to be anti-aircraft, tanks, and troops around, as well as anti-tank guns. But we're not going to have to worry about that too much, though it can still hurt our infantry. So let's go ahead and move forward with our bomber. And it looks like we are at least able to see 2 hexagons in front of us. Okay, go ahead and move a little further. Or we can undo our move if we want to, I believe. Yeah, it looks like we only moved that far so far. So we'll go ahead and hang back with that bomber. We'll try to go ahead and land our troops nearby. So I don't think we get any sort of bonus for capturing these towns, but at least we'll deny the enemy easy movement on the roads if we capture some major locations here. So these indicate, wow, they look like it doesn't really look like a city. To me, that looks like an allied tech lab or something from Red Alert 2 or something like that, like a science lab, not necessarily a city. But let's go ahead and move in and drop our troops off. Ah, there we go. Ooh, coming in behind. So it looks like they have a mountain artillery gun. I think that's what it is, or a regiment gun. And there's some infantry here, as well as a lot of defensive trenches. So now we got our bomber in position. What we'll do is we'll land our troops behind the British and Greek lines in order to then try to outflank them and bring in the bombers once we've kind of locked them into place. We're going to try to essentially kind of not necessarily pin them in, but kind of prepare a pincer move. It'll be between us and the sea and then our bombs from above. So they're going to have what we go ahead and call a bad time. What that's going to be. Let's go ahead and call in a few more troops here to thicken up the lines. I wonder if we can drop on top of them. Actually, if we do that, yeah, we should be able to parachute just next to it. Kind of cool that we can move at least one block as we parachute down, kind of giving the troops a little freedom to maneuver that way. So as you can see, we're starting to get these troops encircled on this left side. We also want to bring a little bit of fight to the right side, although without any sort of anti-aircraft here, I'm looking pretty good so far, and pretty happy with what we've got. Really no other areas for us to land in. Well, we could land here and then come in behind the British forces there. And I'd say that's it for this left flank. There's a lot we can do, man. Imagine a campaign like this where you're fighting in Stalingrad and it's taking like, I could imagine a scenario or a campaign mission being like, you know, you're defending Stalingrad North, Center, South, maybe some specific locations such as the Red October Tractor Factory and other things like that. Just trying to defend in a myriad of different missions. Oh, looks like we actually have anti-aircraft here, but they're not able to shoot at us, so let's go ahead and drop. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and bring in another aircraft. Now, if we get rid of this anti-aircraft gun, we will have free range at bombing all of these tanks. It does appear that we have a light tank, almost like a Scorpion, like a modern-day Scorpion. But it is looks to be an autocannon with a machine gun, so that's dangerous. And this is also, looks to be an early... What is that? Crusader tank? I don't even know. We can click on it, but we'll take a look at it a little bit later and see what it's got for info. Love seeing the troops come in. Love the fact that we can kind of maneuver a little bit. And I love the scale of this particular mission so far. We're kind of running out of space to drop everybody, but we don't necessarily have to drop everybody all at once. Although dropping along this whole coast would be good because we could fight and destroy them and capture almost 3 objectives right away. I don't know if this is a side objective, but yeah, capturing anything green is a pretty good idea, especially since it could stop the enemy from moving on the northern coast to the west side from the center. Oh, look at that. They have some cavalry, too. Nice, man. This is on par with, like, Hearts of Iron, really, with how some of these units look. Hearts of Iron, of course, is like it's like this, but real-time strategy, but a lot more focus on production and research. But this is all about tactical strategy, and so it's all about maneuvering. And oh, look at that! Wait a minute, we're both encircled. Oh, wait a minute. I think this group hold the encirclement of these units. Yeah, because we have units here. Maybe we just have to surround them on 2 sides to be encircled. That could be a gameplay mechanic there. Let's go ahead and get. Oh, they have an aircraft here too. Actually, 2 of them. We'll have to be on the lookout for that. That's not good for us. What if we land here? Okay, so we can't land... Well, we can move our troops maybe. And maybe have our paratroopers then land there. Oh, yes. Perfect. All right, cool. So we get more reinforcements. So we can keep using this area as a landing zone. Let's bring in one more plane. If we can. And we'll do the same thing. Have them land there. Oh, this is great. We're pouring in behind them. Oh, this is so good. It's going to take a while to break through that infantry and the regiment gun, but that's exactly what the bomber is for, so we're going to have to keep that back. Man, we could spend all day just making our turns. Nice, too, that you can do it all at your own pace, and even if you're playing multiplayer, you can kind of take your time in doing a little bit of that. Make sure you kind of think things out before you do it. But honestly, this is my first time playing this, and I'm basing my moves off of knowledge of other games, so there's certainly some other gameplay mechanics that I'm not seeing here. And it's going to be this is really like a type of game that you can honestly pick up and play a little bit on your own and make some pretty serious mistakes and not know what happened and then go into the tutorial and learn. Kind of what I like to do with anything that I get, whether it be a Lego set or whether it be a new game or something that I have to assemble. I kind of like to try to do what seems to be obvious, and then things that aren't so obvious, or perhaps if I make a mistake, go into the manual and then learn. Nobody wants to read their owner's manual in their car before they drive it. You just want to drive the damn car. And if you're wondering where the spare is, you just check the manual, right? Am I right? I'm right. You know I'm right. All right, we've got a machine gun here. And we've got a regimental gun. Ooh, this is going to be hard to penetrate some of these lines. What if we go ahead and start bombing, if that'll be effective against that tank? There's probably anti-aircraft somewhere, but let's go ahead and hit them. Oh, nice. Take a little bit of damage there. Ah, it's a Matilda tank here. That's what that is, a Matilda. 60-second Matilda 1. Alright. We bomb more than once. Nope, this group has the capability to move on, though, after an attack, I think. But anyway, good job from the... What was that? A JU... No, it's a DO-172 or 17Z. Go ahead and bring the remaining troops down. I think we'll try to encircle the tanks first, because they could be a real problem. And if we encircle them and take them out, then we can start moving east and start taking out the artillery. And we can, of course, do that with the aircraft. So if we stop the enemy from supporting their support guns, we can then pick them off. So we'll take out tanks first, then bomb the hell out of infantry, and then also supporting guns, too. Go ahead and go over this way, I think. Want to come in behind them on the road there. So yeah, this is essentially, I mean, we're already attacking. We've made some damage to the enemy, but this is our initial setup on our invasion. And of course, you don't even have to go for these objectives. You could just land somewhere in the blank field and then try to gather strength and push in. But you have 40 turns to do so, which I imagine could be like 40 days, maybe. Seems like a long time for an invasion, but back in World War II, I would imagine if you're capturing a whole island, you're going to have to focus first on the initial defenders and the resistance and possible counterattacks, and really making sure everything's secure before you go any further. Might give us the encircled again. Yeah, cool. These troops doing well. Go ahead and do something crazy here and push in around this. Actually, let's land in this forest. And let's land next to these troops, too. Getting some initial encirclements might be good. I'd love to see how we get options in future campaigns to do things like paratroopers and naval reinforcement. It would be quite interesting to be able to launch an attack and be able to choose whether or not we have a massive bombing campaign or if we have paratroopers or something to come in. Like, for example, changing, D-Day to have German paratroopers come into the front line and maybe do a counterattack or something, still historical in terms of the location of the battle, but maybe not historical as to the things available at the time. All right, we got some horsies there. Giddy up, let's go. All right, we'll drop in on the cavalry and a few other things. Okay, so that is clear in Sector 2, clear in Sector 1. No units remaining there. Maybe we'll get some aircraft if we happen to take an enemy airfield. That'd be kind of cool. Let's go ahead and push in on the right side. The shame we don't get any sort of initial recon would be helpful. Ooh, is that a mobile anti-aircraft? Wow, that's interesting. It almost looks like a truck. Look at how massive that thing is. An 80-second QF 3-inch, a quick fire. That's really cool. It's almost got a generator on the front of it and a spare tire. Or it almost looks like the crew... or like this could be like a modern day artillery piece or something. Looks like where an operator would sit and then like everything else is automated. But no, this seems to be a towed anti-aircraft gun. That's a genius idea. Very slick system. That's nice. Go ahead and bring in some more aircraft. Get our troops dropping in. So yeah, now we can start speeding up our moves. I do want to bomb as well, and we need to be cautious about aircraft and anti-aircraft. Our bombers, of course, can defend themselves slightly, but not anywhere near the ability to... Oh, boy. Oh, I see. Oh, are these going to be shot down? Oh, interesting to note. If we go near enemy aircraft, they will shoot at us. So they have somewhat of an overwatch capability. Let's see if we move... I guess if we touch them, that's going to be bad times. It's a shame we lost a lot of our power there. But not like we would know. It's our first try. First try. Let's go over this way. Go far out, man. There we go. I do like how once our troops are in position, we can just basically drop them. And they become infantry, and we don't have to worry about getting the transport planes back. I'm not sure why this group didn't deploy. Don't see an option to do that yet. But we'll keep coming in this way. So we got the city somewhat surrounded. We're encircling, and we're doing a lot of stuff without even really starting a fight yet. We've had a few shots here and there, but Nothing too crazy. Let's go over the AA and see if they shoot. No, they don't. Weird. So AA won't fire, I suppose, unless they're attacked first, or maybe they work in some sort of support fire against enemy tanks or aircraft. And one more group of soldiers here coming in. Like to move around, but I can't. All right, bomber time. Where do we have our bomber? Did I call him in already? Oh, right, that's what happened. That's why he doesn't have troops. He's a bomber. He's carrying something else. Ju-88A carrying bombs here. Yeah, they all kind of blend together at this point. I've selected so many planes, but all right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and give the enemy their turn and see what we can do. So we need to capture 8 points here in 40 turns. We're going to take losses. It's a war after all. In order to try to gain some territory, we're going to have to make some sacrifices, pushing in troops quickly and effectively in certain areas and holding and possibly taking losses in others. That's interesting. That operated like a mobile artillery piece, but it was anti-aircraft. Enemy making their move to try to target our aircraft and our bombers precisely. So our opening moves are going to be important. Wow, was that rockets? Opening move is going to be important to get all the troops on the ground in the first move, and then possibly do some bombing as quickly as possible too, and stay away from enemy forces. All right, well, we'll try to take some objectives here, but it's certainly seeming like it's going to be a rather, I wouldn't say long campaign, but it'll be, I think this will feel longer than most typical battles of something like Call to Arms, Gates of Hell, or Men of War, or just as long. But more like a longer conquest mode with something like the main campaign. Oh, enemy cavalry coming in and getting the high ground too. Different modifiers here for being encircled and holding the high ground. Possibly pincer moves. And the ability to provide overwatch. Very nice. Wow. Group finished out there. To me, this is also like running a military scenario like on a supercomputer, right? When you kind of test out some scenarios, and if you've noticed that the direct approach works best, you go the direct approach, or if you notice flanking works best, then you go on a flanking attack and try to continue to ramp up your forces in a certain area until the enemy breaks, and then break out to other locations to split them off. Yeah, lots of fire here from all the enemy troops. Oh, yeah. Yeah, more high ground from the enemy here and more entrenching. If they're standing on these trenches, they get the bonus of being entrenched, but it is almost impossible for us to land enough troops near those cities to capture them. But the real goal is, instead of just capturing the cities, it's really to eliminate all the large assets like tanks and artillery, and then move in to destroy infantry if we need to. Wow, those Matilda tanks move nicely. Oh yeah. And there you go. It's now our second turn. Looking kind of rough after the first attacks, really. Let's go ahead and start on this left side. I really just want to try to capture something here. He's able to fire off their artillery first. Ooh, well eliminated there too. Wow, the British, very effective. I guess that's why they gave us our these bombers. And I'm thinking one of them may have been shot down so far. Oh, it looks like the bombers go right back to their locations there, which is why they're kept so close for this scenario. Alright, bombers called in on the artillery. Very interesting. I wonder if there's ways to replenish these forces after a few battles. But if we need to sacrifice a bomber in order to take out a group of tanks to then save the day, we'll do that too. And let's continue to pound enemy positions. Let's go for the... Let's hit the anti-aircraft and just experiment with that, see how that works. So they're able to counterattack on our way in. And I don't even know if he was able to bomb that. Looks like it's completely fine. Alright. Yeah, look at that. Enemy artillery support on all sides. That's going to have to be a key target for us, is enemy artillery. And I'm not sure if we'll get reinforcements at any time. It seems like it'll be nearly impossible to capture the rear defenses, like, for example, down here. One of our two furthest points. It seems like most of the objectives are on the north side, but there are a few on the other side, which I guess would allow us to split the country or the land into 2 or 3 parts or more, in order to then easily pacify things and give command sectors for cleanup. And give an 8 there. Still sucks because of all that artillery. We can split these groups too. I wonder if there's options for grenades. We have our strength, temporary damage, fuel, ammo, and base entrenchment too. Yeah, so we got to worry about supply. And without any sort of, don't know if our airborne troops can receive supply, but we'll have to see if they can do that. Maybe from the transport planes that were present earlier. Maybe we can get those back and transport some supplies to the troops. Go ahead and see what other options we have for attacking. No option there to bomb. Actually, this is paratroopers, so we should be able to land and move 1 square. Be able to land here, and then land over there. Well, on the ground below that plane. But I like the overall mission. Again, when I played this in other games, it's typically to capture 1 city, and that's about it. But the operation itself, much larger with the whole capturing of this island. Because that's going to be the easiest way to secure it, of course. Not bad. I do like the look of the tanks. Of course, we get to fight against the British, the Soviets, and I have yet to see American forces, although there was one scenario called End of the Bulge, although the British were present in the Battle of the Bulge, and it would be great to see British and Indian and any sort of volunteers, and also, for example, Canadians to be present too. Even if we were against them on D-Day, it would be cool to see Canadian engineers or, Royal Engineers, but from Canada pushing up to a position. Here's one thing we could do, rotate troops in and out. This is going to be hard to take these positions. Entrenchments are no joke in this game. This is a cool demonstration to see how things work. And by the way, sucks that our troops are dead and all. Yeah, oh man, suck. But anyway, this is cool. The falsity makers actually have accurate uniforms for them, accurate helmets, and models that are correct, from what I can see. Unless that's a, I don't know. It looks like it's accurate for the Germans in 1941, May 1941. So, yeah, great looking helmets and colors for the troops and accurate rifles and whatnot. It's not just generic soldier with generic gun with the Iron Cross above it. So that is a nice thing to see, that there's at least a little detail to something that could be easily overlooked. Now these troops actually looking pretty good. And they do have, looks like rifles and MP40s. Not sure about that being used, the MP40s and rifles like that, but I know they were, but I would love to see. Well, it's not time for the FG-42 yet. A little too early, but go ahead and move our troops around a little bit. Yeah, artillery's no joke either. I think what I really want to do in the future here is get all of our aircraft and land over near a landmark, like a road, and then push in where we can actually concentrate all of our forces, and then have the aircraft kind of fend for themselves. I mean, there's not much we can do with the infantry against anti-aircraft until we can definitely reach it, or enemy aircraft. Enemy aircraft, anti-aircraft artillery, those are a couple of things that we just can't really do anything with without being super close with our infantry and attacking a few times in a row. That's for sure. Is there an option to see our next troops? I wonder if there's actually... Well, there is an undo option. That's kind of nice. We can also see units lost so far. So we've lost 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 squads. It's going to be way more than that. This is a doozy mission, too, so far. But other missions have a lot more in terms of tanks and a large scale. So I want to take a look at the Berlin defense. Let's go ahead and take a peek at that as well. This is certainly a doozy. And I absolutely love that map screen where we can see unit strength that way. Very cool. This is the big one, boys. No, the invasion of Crete was, I think, meant to be quite a challenge. More challenging than some of the earlier missions where you have a big advantage, like the invasion of Poland in terms of numbers and mechanization and aircraft and whatnot. But this is going to be all odds against us no matter what. So, interesting. Looks like everything starts at 0, and this is a very hard, very hard scenario indeed. So it looks like the enemy is going to be attacking us from here. And, oh, it looks like we can actually reinforce a little bit. There are things we can bring in, like supply. And it looks like they're attacking from... well, no. Actually, this is troops of both the Soviet and possibly the Americans. But it is possible for us to bring in supply. That's going to be where we reinforce. So it looks like, yeah, the only way to accumulate resources is to liberate German cities and depots around the map. Okay. We need to go to Leipzig and capture that. Dresden and try to capture that and bring things to Berlin. And the fortified Allied positions are there. Major attack waves will attack from there. Very nice. Training grounds and possible more reinforcements, but we got to fight for it. Nothing's for free, so we have to definitely do a fight. Wow. No way. We have to defend Dresden here. Take a look at those units again. We got Pak 40s, Hetzers. Got some Pumas, too. Ah, yes. We got ourselves a beautiful-looking Panther. Lots of infantry as well. What are these guys here? The 2nd Volksgrenadier. Oh, this is what we needed in the other map. Well, not Volkssturm, but the Panzer Faust would be helpful, but not in that year. We've also got captured equipment, T-28s, and wow, the Germans having HE-162s, or at least one of them. Rocket powered jet. No way, man. And interesting, the Americans have given us, sorry plane, let's undo you. The Americans have given us something neat. A Firefly Tulip, although it looked like an artillery piece. But yeah, this has, I think these are anti-tank missiles on them. Well, it's bazookas, but meant to be kind of like an anti-tank tank that's got an extra little wallop to it. And yeah, the Lukes too, I think that is. Yep, Lukes. Cool. All right, so that's just Dresden itself with beautiful train lines going through it. That's really cool looking. The cities look, somewhat decent. You can tell it's a city with like a major highway through it. But again, that's just to show that there's a route there where we can move fast. The Americans are approaching then from down here. And there's a possibility to capture more stuff. Soviets from that side. So yeah, the green arrow from before, kind of our initial enemy attack from the Americans in that lower southwest corner. But yeah, here comes the Soviets, huh? Damn, an impossible task, man. Wow, lots of artillery, amphibious equipment, the ability to cross the river, and the Battle of Silo Heights. So we have the artillery there and some troops, although I think we should at least have some defenses here, like trench lines, Dragon's Teeth, artillery, and more. Oh, we have mine rollers for the Soviets too on a T-34. Artillery available, and it looks like the most entrenching is around Berlin itself. So there are a few areas that are worthwhile to defend, like this swampy area where the enemy will have a quite big difficult time trying to get to something like our... Oh, this is supposed to be a flak tower. 12.8 centimeter flak 40. Oh, it's the Berlin Zoo flak tower. Interesting. It is a towed piece of equipment there, but the flak towers were actually massive structures that still exist today, made of a crazy amount of concrete and rebar, and they attempted to destroy them time and time again. And we're unsuccessful. And a wacky World War II weapon here. Essentially, this is a minesweeper that rotates and flings like balls on chains at the ground in order to try to detonate mines in front of it. A cool device. But man, does that rip up the hell out of the road. Oh, we have the land mattress too. Yep, land mattress, 76 millimeter. Cool. But that is unfortunately an enemy piece of equipment. But I like how we can at least see their range and their possible movement. So these dots would be how far they can move them each turn without maybe a towed vehicle. And then that red line, of course, is their range. And not everything shows it, though. But not everything's artillery. What else do we have here in Berlin? We got a Panzer IV. We got, is that a, oh, it's a Nashorn, really. And Flak 88s, too. And I love the fact that if we make a mistake and we, you know, if we didn't know we could move here, if we wanted to test it, you know, we can do that. All sorts of ways to redo things. Love and undo button. It's essentially a tactical strategy planner, and that is a great way to be able to, you know, plan things out before doing it. And this is cool. We got Tushas too. Great. This is certainly the type of game I would like to showcase on the channel. There's a lot of other games like this one too, and I think that's because people really don't give a hoot too much about real-time strategy versus tactical strategy. Often they go hand in hand. All the moves that you do will kind of take a well, they'll have a consequence, of course, and real-time strategy makes you think a lot quicker on your toes at what's going on at the moment, and or 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead. But this is almost like 17D chess. You have to be thinking maybe 7 or 8 moves ahead about supply and about reinforcements and where your troops are and defending and doing all that sorts of stuff. So let's go ahead and see how the enemy attacks here. Let's see what they do for bombing and artillery. Oh, we're already shooting at enemy aircraft. Nice. Multiple anti-aircraft guns firing off. And an enemy bomber trying to hit our bunker there. They're trying to hit artillery. Not a lot of room for us to go back, too. We could, like, you know, go back to just inside the city's borders, or at least the defensive line. But can't really hide from aircraft. They're going to continuously pummel our troops and our tanks and our artillery. Coming in on strafing runs. Yeah, Silo Heights too, having kind of its own battle. I'd love to see somebody create a Silo Heights scenario and a battle for Dresden, and more sectors of Berlin too, kind of being fought over on a larger scale. This, of course, is a larger scale, but more zoomed in, where a city block is like your whole screen. Oh, our troops are fighting back. Doing a good job. Wow. Everything's close to being wiped out. Oh, that's an interesting battle in the south. I thought those were indicators for reinforcement. Man. We're against the Americans, we're against the Soviets, and I think I even saw British units there in the upper left corner. This could be a quick battle. You could a pro could last maybe like 10 turns at their first attempt. In fact, our objectives are to defend Berlin, to secure 37 minor depots, and secure 25 standard depots, and then 5 major depots. Although I think those are objectives we have to work for, and or we lose if we fail to protect those. And some of those are probably located in Berlin, hence all the flags. What a challenge. I really appreciate this. I think this is really good with the amount of different equipment that we have access to. Rocket artillery, our standard artillery. Hopefully we see things like coastal batteries. It's a big game to unpack with just one look, but with it being on sale and with there being so many DLCs, it's certainly something to hold you over or to fill in the gaps for other games such as, you know, Call to Arms and Gates of Hell and War Assault Squad, and this is really on par with a lot of the other turn-based World War II strategy games that I've seen. And this one's got some really good music and a little bit more lively than what I've seen before. A lot of them are a little bit more serious, but this one is kind of fun and not arcadey, but just seems more like there's a lot more going on visually to really make it feel like you're doing damage when you call in an attack on an enemy. And when there's a massive explosion on the infantry, it does feel like you're physically bombing instead of it just being like a bright orange flash, like the land mattress, for example. But all that smoke is a good addition. And that artillery is not stopping. British commandos up there pushing in on the trenches on the north side of Berlin. Yeah, the city's completely surrounded. I mean, I had like maybe an opportunity to move a few tanks around and infantry. We could spend some time on that, but I want to see the defense, and it's going good. Oh, a crocodile. Yeah, with a little flame tank being towed behind, a little flamer. Cool. Well, Dresden being attacked now from behind with the possible American attack going to break through. I don't think so with too many tanks here. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. It's cool that we were actually able to fire our own Sherman Firefly with its own tulips. Pretty cool. And the battle continues. Man, this is the type of game that you could actually play over the course of several nights or days, you know. You make 3 or 4 moves and really think about it, go on to another battle. You could actually be playing like 3 battles at the same time, right? You could be fighting here in Berlin and then also doing the Crete mission and then maybe doing a British campaign at the same time too, which is really cool. There's lots to do and lots to see, that's for sure. All right, guys, well, that is my time today here, so thank you very much for watching Panzer Corps 2. I hope they make a third one. I hopefully will see some DLCs in the future, and I hope to see you all soon. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen today, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, comment down below on some of your favorite World War II games in general, and tactical strategy games, and real-time strategy too, and let me know what you'd like to see next. Again, thanks to Slytherin for sponsoring. You can check down below in the description to get this one today. Keep in mind it's on sale and seems like a real great game for anybody who is into tactical strategy, and a good thing to hold you over until the days of like Headquarters World War II. I feel like these are all different games that still feel like they're part of the same collection, and it feels like we're playing games from the past, although they're in the present. The golden area of like PC, but yet today. Love it. All right, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.